Thank you, Mike. Federal authorities issue in this statement, and I quote, the FBI and DHS assess the one-year anniversary of the October 7, 2023 attacks that initiated the ongoing Israel-Hamas conflict, as well as any further significant escalations in the conflict, may be a factor for violent extremists and hate crime perpetrators to engage in violence or threaten public safety. Individuals inspired by online messaging could act alone to commit an attack with little to no warnings. Let's bring in Lieutenant General Keith Kellogg, former National Security Advisor to President Trump and Vice President Pence. General, great to have you here again. To get right to it, sir, it seems as if Israel has remembered the instruments of national power as we've seen them in their asymmetric approach to dealing with Iran, Hezbollah, and Hamas, while America has not. How would you assess the current progression under Israel's latest attacks on Hezbollah and concerns about American or any escalation in the area?
Yeah, David, thanks for having me, and it's good to be with you. Look, the Israelis are fighting exceptionally well, and they're fighting in multiple directions. When you look at what they're doing and the war cabinet they've got, to start with the leadership they've got, you know, Benjamin Netanyahu, for those who may not like him, the fact is he's become almost Churchillian in how he's fought this fight, and I think the Israeli citizens understand that. He's basically torn apart Hamas in Gaza, killed their senior leadership as well, Haniya, when he was in Tehran. Then he pivoted towards Yemen against the Houthis. He's taken out key targets there. Then he pivoted towards Hezbollah in Lebanon and took out Nasrallah, the leader there, plus the number 2 Shukr. And now he's pivoting towards Iran. And what he's done is reestablish deterrence in the region. So he's really taken on all four different targets and has done exceptionally well. And I think now everybody should look at what is Israel going to do in the near term against Iran. And I will tell you, David, I really believe they've got a doctrine called Dahiyya. And what Dahiyya means, it's super escalation. Means they're going to over-escalate compared not just preponderant, not just a discriminate target hitting like President Biden wants them to do, which is like quid pro quo. But they're going to go hard against, in all probability, against Iran. And that means their senior leadership could be at risk, as well as their nuclear sites, the 3 big ones. You got Natanz, you got Fordo, and you got Isfahan. And they can get to all 3 of them. They proved that by going, when they went to Yemen, they flew 2,000 miles. Those targets are closer in. They've got the weaponry that's needed. They've got targetry that they can take those targets out with weaponry they need. They've got what's called a GBU-72, a guide bomb unit, which means it's precision weapons. That's a bomb that we developed, the United States gave to them, which is 5,000 pounds, and it can penetrate almost 60 feet of concrete. And they can hit it target after target after target. So I think what they've done is exceptional. When you look what they've done on deterrence, they've actually set up deterrence in the sense they've got capability and credibility, and they've got the national will. And they've proven that, and I think the region is now taking that into consideration. And that's the reason you see the Iranians kind of backing off real hard.
General Kellogg, Molly Hemingway here. I'm wondering how you assess the change between the Trump administration and the peace that was breaking out throughout the Middle East, the situation with the Abraham Accords, and versus the chaos that we're seeing now. How much of this is related to actual Biden-Harris administration policy?
Well, hey, Molly, it's huge. Look, I'll make it really simple. President Trump goes to Saudi Arabia, meets the Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Salman, and he gets a sword dance. President Biden goes to Saudi Arabia, he gets a fist bump. And Kamala Harris hadn't even been there, and she hasn't talked to MBS at all. The only person she's talked to really in the Mideast is Mohammed bin Zayed, MBZ, out of the Emirates. So that relationship is broken. And relationships are so important in the Middle East. You know that, and I know that. And if you don't have those established relationships, things can break down very fast. And the Saudis are going to be absolutely critical for some type of reestablishment of something happening good in the Middle East. And this administration has ignored it. You know, when President Biden called Saudi Arabia a pariah state, that put us on a downhill path. And the Saudis are going to be key because they hold the money bags. And they're going to be key to the Middle East. And I think when we established the Abraham Accords, we were close to bringing the Saudis in. Well, I think we can do that in the next term with President Trump. And I think what you're going to see is some type of stabilization in the Middle East, a very positive stabilization, not what you see today.
General Kellogg, Anita Vogel here, just jumping off of that point and Molly's question, how different will U.S. policy be toward Israel under a Trump administration versus a Harris administration?
Well, I can tell you, look at tonight. There's a program on another channel on 60 Minutes when Vice President Harris was asked about Benjamin Netanyahu, and she basically blew him off. She said he's really not a leader of consequence. Yes, he is. He's a wartime leader, and the people of Israel know that. If you've traveled in Israel, they realize what he has done, what he's had to do. He's fighting multiple foes multiple times and doing a pretty good job with it, and the Israeli people know that. So he's going to be a leader in the Middle East that's going to have to be dealt with and worked with, and this administration won't do it. There's a real fracture. When it comes to leadership and presidential politics, the power of personality is so very, very important, and I saw that in 4 years. President Trump had that in spades. You see this administration doesn't have it at all. They don't have that personal relationship. They'll be able to pull the people together and at least try to come up to some type of accommodation.
General, Joe Concha, you mentioned before that 60 Minutes interview that Kamala Harris did where she refused to call Benjamin Netanyahu an ally. She also said during a debate about a month ago with Donald Trump on ABC that we have no active military members in war zones. I think the folks that are in the Red Sea that are being droned on a daily basis, the fact that we've had loss of life of U.S. service members in the Red Sea, the fact that we have thousands of troops still in Syria and Iraq, is she qualified, General, in your opinion, to be the commander-in-chief of the United States?
No, I don't believe so, Joe. I don't. That's obviously a harsh assessment. It's a partisan assessment. I acknowledge that. But then she really hasn't had the track record to show what she can do as leadership as commander-in-chief. And when you make a comment that is just absurd, and we all knew that as soon as we heard it, because there's been American service members are injured in the Middle East, from rocket fire from Iran. And from Iranian surrogates as well. And she sees that and she can't respond to it. So, I mean, is it a harsh assessment? Of course it is. But it's an honest assessment.
Thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.